Sorry, my pasty fell out. It's getting unsticky. Anyway.
Do you have the kinds that have flowers on them?
No, it's just like the basic ones that's just round and sticky on the side.
Yeah. My mom sent me a link to these like little lacy bralette things from Costco. I think it was her not very subtle way of telling me I should start wearing a bra again.
I love that it's from Costco. That's very Asian mom, like, oh, it's cheap and you get many of them.
Yeah, some of my mom's white. But she's still very frugal. And she's like, they're so cheap, we should just...
It's very mom, regardless of race. That's just been part of my journey for the last year and a half, where I'm really conscious of being a person in a woman's body, and really thinking about what that means on a personal, spiritual, political level. And I agree with you. I think femininity and soft power is looked down upon. I think there is just so much negative associations with being girly, where it's seen as frivolous or useless or indulgent, weak. And so, especially, I've been thinking a lot about more feminine-based threads of spirituality. So I've been exploring in the very beginning stages, the more occult subculture, so witchy, the whole witchy art culture that's emerging, where more people around me are interested in astrology and tarot and rituals, which has led me to more ideas of how in ancient history the default absolute divine figure was a goddess, not a god, in different parts of the world. And so a divine woman was seen as being powerful, absolute, having warrior qualities, being able to create and destroy. And how giving birth was seen as this amazing, miraculous thing. It was just, I think, how people who worshipped goddesses would have just been so shocked to see that centuries later women were seen as the lesser sex, who were seen as a source of sin and shame. And so I'm thinking a lot about that these days, just how, what would a world look like if the feminine divine principle was the default, not this side thing, and how that would change our perspective on everything. And so I'm thinking about all these very big themes as I'm making this mainstream lifestyle book for women. But I feel like these things are all really important to think about, because even in this very mainstream practical lifestyle book, I think I want to use that as a Trojan horse to make people be proud of being a woman and be proud of wearing cute, stylish clothes and caring about things like beauty and hair and interior decorating and I don't know, making chocolate bacon and taking indulgent baths. I feel like what really liberated me was to just give myself permission to be bad at something. And so when I'm taking up a new skill, to really embrace the fact that I'm going to be terrible at it, and there's going to be that very uncomfortable process where I'm just going to be laughably terrible at it before I incrementally get better. And so I've never been comfortable with being a physical person, so even something as mundane as joining the gym and going to a cardio dance class, like, I'm terrible at those things, but now I sort of revel in the fact that I'm so bad at it. Going to a pole dancing class with a friend, I'm like terrible at anything that involves coordination and choreography, but it's fun to learn something that is so beyond my usual skill set. So and also public speaking. I feel like I was not comfortable with that for the longest time, but I made a conscious decision last year to just really embrace public speaking, public performance, because I feel like if I want to see more Asian American women artists be visible public figures, I have to be a part of that change. And so I have to have a personal responsibility to really be seen on stage for other younger Asian American women, other younger women of color, and women in general, to see that you can be a minority who is in a creative field and be really vocal and outspoken and opinionated and passionate about doing the things that you love to do. So I feel like anytime I do something and I'm interested in it, and there's sort of that resistance that I have, then I see that as a sign that, like, oh, I have to do this. Or if I'm presented with a project that feels beyond my skill set, then I see that as a challenge of, like, oh, I have to dive into it and figure it out as I go along with it, because that's the only way I'm going to grow and evolve as a person. I just feel like they're two sides of the same coin, and so you need the period of rest and doing nothing to be able to do a lot of creation and action and being very busy. And once you have this outpouring of creative output, you need to rest before you can start that cycle again. And so I feel like I used to put so much pressure on myself to work certain hours a day, or to have this really prolific output in this very rigorous timed schedule. And I realized that just doesn't work for me. It may work for some people, but it doesn't work for me. And so what helps for me is to really see things more in a project by project based schedule, where if there is a deadline, even if I'm not super productive every single day, it'll get done no matter what. And so it doesn't mean I have to live this hermetic life of just working at my desk all day long. I also need to see friends to fuel my ideas. I need to go to museums, or go to the ocean, or check out a cool art event. They're not indulgent things, that's separate from my art practice. Getting influences and inspirations and being exposed to different creative expressions that I otherwise wouldn't discover on my own, that's all a part of living the artist's life. And so I feel like I have a more holistic view of my life now, where it's not just artistic output and the product. Like, everything in my life informs the art that I make. And one friend I saw recently, how she framed it was, your most important art is actually who you are as a person and what life you live. And maybe it was Leonard Cohen who said, and I'm paraphrasing this, I don't know the exact quote, but he said something along the lines of, if your life is on fire, then the poetry is the ashes. And so I feel like it's not so much about making the book, but being the kind of inspired and disciplined person who can write the book, but also have this rich and fulfilling life where you have family and friends and you're making a difference and you're really happy with who you are as a person. And so when I frame it as that, then I don't know, having a day where you're just hanging out with your friends all day, that's just as good as having a really productive day where you're really excited about the project that you're working on. They're all the same, essentially. So I feel like once the paradigm is shifted to that, then I don't feel self-punitive if I don't work all day, or if I have a few days of not working. Ultimately, it doesn't matter because I know the art will get done and it'll happen in a way that feels fun and intuitive to me.